Today we are having a chat with Lorenzo, who's the creator of PizzaGPT, which is a super cool product. Let's see how we have to define this. It has been viral the next 2 days. Hi, Lorenzo. Thank you so much for being here. So tell us a little bit, what is PizzaGPT? What's the story behind it?
So everything started last Saturday, so a little bit more than a week ago. And I was reading the news, just woken up, still in bed, I think. And I just read that ChatGPT was blocked in Italy, or was blocked the access for Italian users. And this was because the data protection officer in Italy had some complaints regarding the privacy of the users, and sent like a letter or a fine to OpenAI. As an answer, OpenAI blocked ChatGPT in Italy. So this is, I guess it's common news. But yeah, I was just wondering, I mean, yeah, they blocked the website, but I guess the API still works. So I guess somebody will do it, like, will do a website that is calling OpenAI ChatGPT API and make it available. And I was thinking about it, and then I said to my girlfriend, look, I think somebody will do it, but I could also do it. And then I went on with my day. And then in the afternoon, I said, okay, you know what? I have like 2 or 3 hours available. Let's try to put it together, this ChatGPT for Italian users. And I was thinking about a name, a possible name that, of course, was putting together ChatGPT and Italy. And of course, what else? It could have been called like Chiacchierata GPT, which means Chat GPT, but it doesn't sound as good. And so I thought of pizza and bought the domain. And to develop it, I took another project that I was working on. I changed some stuff because I was experimenting already with the OpenAI API, so ChatGPT API, and like a chat interface. So what you see now in PizzaGPT is basically taken from this other project that I was experimenting with. And I launched the project, went out because it was Saturday night. We went for pizza with some friends. So I also had the time pressure because my girlfriend was like, look, we have to go. This really helped me to put the project together, do code really fast, and deploy it as fast as possible. And when I came back from that dinner, I wrote a post on Hacker News before going to bed, and just did my launch. And the next day I saw already 200 live users in the past 30 minutes on the website. And then it went viral from there. But basically thanks to a Hacker News post. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. So I think before we move forward, I want to try to help people understand what you actually did. Because like a lot of people did not understand, I think, that ChatGPT is a product built on top of a technology that is accessible for everybody. And when you said before API, just to make that clear for people, what is an API? Basically, it's a technology that allows you to plug into all these people's technology, right? That's probably the easiest way to tell that. So can you explain a little bit why there was a problem with ChatGPT and your product, let's say, doesn't have that privacy issue?
Yeah, I mean, there are several issues involved, but yeah, if we talk about technology, which is, for me, it's the interesting stuff, not really all the other issue with the like legal issue. But yeah, the technology was not blocked. It was blocked, the website. So ChatGPT is a website accessible by any users. The underlying technology and the API, which is application programming interface. So the way that, yeah, exactly, you interface with other pieces of software without having full access to that technology. So you're a client, you are really a user of a service. You're not looking into the code and seeing what's happening. You're just the final user. And OpenAI, the company that provides ChatGPT, also provides the API. So you can build on top of their technology and integrate it within your project, within your code. So what I did, I built an alternative website to ChatGPT using the same underlying technology, still accessing the same model and the same API from OpenAI.
But without storing
any
people's data,
there
right?
is no account because I'm not storing any data. And I tried to, be more privacy friendly as possible.
The funny thing is, when I posted about your product, PizzaGPT, on Instagram, LinkedIn, etc., my father texted me on WhatsApp and said, Gianluca, what are you doing? You are telling people how to use an illegal product. I'm like that. No, ChatGPT has been labeled as illegal. And first of all, the problem is not on the users, on the company. And PizzaGPT, it does respect all the privacy rules because you're not saving data.
So ChatGPT is not illegal. It was more a preventive measure to block the access from the mother company, OpenAI. Mm-hmm. But there is nothing illegal at the moment.
Yeah. So let's talk about,
so no, I was going to say, it's not a new model, because that was another question that many people had. Like, did you train a new model? How is this based on? No, it's not a new model. It's just GPT 3.5 from OpenAI.
Exactly the same model that they use on chat.openai.com. So right now there's quite a few people using it, right? I really like the fact that you shared a dashboard so everybody can see all the analytics. How many people used it today?
I can check right now.
Live checking. How many people are live on PizzaGPT?
15,000 users today, and about 40 live users right now.
Okay. So, and you're basically paying money to give this for free, right? Yes. And then you're accepting donations.
So it's working for now. Yeah, I'm surprised. So initially, I had this idea of just creating a new website to access this ChatGPT model. And first of all, I didn't even think that could have so many users that could go viral in such a short amount of time. But I was not sure how much it was going to cost. So I said, okay, you know what, let's just put a donation button there in case that somebody finds it helpful, can support. And this actually worked. It worked quite well because in the last week, I had about, I guess 100,000 users, and the API are surprisingly cheap. So that's what really helped. But I also received some donations, and the donation pretty much are covering the amount of the expenses. Yes.
So it's not a business, but it's not a huge loss
it's not
of money
a business
either,
because there's basically no margin at the moment. But I have some ideas on how it could become a business, because I know that some people are asking for some features, but at the moment I cannot enable them because it would cost so much more. The main feature, for example, is the history. Right now, PizzaGPT doesn't remember the previous messages that you send it, but that would require, send the entire conversation, and would mean like an additional cost. So this multiplied for X thousand of users, it means probably a significant amount of money. So for now, I'm not enabled any of these features, but I'm thinking about some other ways of monetization to make it more sustainable. For now, it has been working fine with donation. Could also be with advertising, it's not the best if we want to be concerned about privacy, because if you put out AdSense, then AdSense knows everything about you. I don't personally as the creator of the website, but they know they are tracking you. So depends on what people like. What do they prefer? If they prefer their privacy, or they prefer to pay for a service and their privacy protected.
And I'm curious about this because right now you had a lot of people using this product, right? What do they say? What do they think? Who are those people? First of all, I guess mostly Italians.
Yeah. So
right?
On my analytics, so on Simple Analytics, which is a very nice tool because it's very privacy friendly. You don't need any cookies, and we have a public web page to see all the users on PizzaGPT. You can see also the countries where they're accessing from. This is not personal information, so it's privacy friendly. But we can see that 90% of the people are from Italy. And this is what my idea. I made a website thinking about Italians, And I was not thinking about any other users coming from other countries, really. But apparently there are other countries, other people accessing to the tool anyway. One example is people from China. But I also heard from a guy on Twitter that was telling me, like, I have a friend in Saudi Arabia and he's still using PizzaGPT. So that was cool.
Because I think that ChatGPT is not open in China.
Yeah, probably.
Right?
So I found an article talking about PizzaGPT as a open alternative to ChatGPT, and probably has been driving some users.
Well,
yeah,
that's crazy. So basically, I guess that most people are people who do not have access to ChatGPT for a reason or another, and then they decide to go on PizzaGPT, right? Did you get any other interesting feedback? Do you have any conversation with those people? Like, did people thank you? Did people accuse you of something? I don't know. Like, what was the reception?
So I have let's say a feedback form on the website, and I've been receiving some feedbacks, mostly positive, I would say. Sometimes it's feature requests, sometimes you suck, this kind of thing. And I try to read only the positive stuff because I think I'm in the end the idea it's really I'm trying to help people, not really to take advantage of anything. It was just really also a funny idea in the beginning, like almost a joke, because it was April 1st and it was April Fools. So also the name was kind of funny, but it actually worked, So mostly positive feedback, I would say.
Cool. So let's talk about the motivations a little bit, because one thing when I shared about PizzaGPT on my LinkedIn, I have this post that was seen like 500,000 times, and there were a lot of people that, of course, were happy about it. There were a few Italians that were like, "Oh my God, like, thank you." Some people depend on this tool, actually. Or some people use this a lot. And so the idea that they had a simple way of using it was pretty great. On the other hand, I was also already trying to help people to teach them how to use the playground. So I didn't have the idea of just building another interface, but I was just trying to kind of like come to the rescue, let's say. And some people were saying, "Oh, this is somebody who's trying to get some attention, somebody who's trying to, I don't know, whatever, make money or take advantage of whatever," which it really doesn't look like. I mean, if you wanted to make money, you would have put ads already some time ago, right? But why? By the way, there's nothing wrong also with making money with a product you build. So I don't see the issue there. But can you talk a little bit about the motivations? Like, why did you decide to do this? You say you wanted to help people, so I guess you did not agree probably with the Italian data protection.
My motivation was really, I believe in AI, let's say. I'm really interested by it, and I've seen so much development in just months, we can say, but it's probably every day is coming out something new. So there is an evolution going on really daily. And if you stay too much outside of AI, basically you're left behind in a way. And I was really thinking about people in Italy, like how unlucky they are that they cannot access this awesome tool, and maybe, as you said, some people are using it for work. Some people are using it for school, and so on. So it's really been a bad thing for Italians mostly that they don't have access to this. So I'm not living in Italy at the moment because I came to Switzerland for work, and I'm living here since 5 years now, but I still have my parents, I have friends in Italy, and I was thinking about them in a way. I said, okay, I have access to these AI tools, which are very powerful, but they don't, just because of a kind of a misunderstanding, I would say, between OpenAI and the data protection officer in Italy. So I was thinking about making the tool available to people in Italy, basically, without too many problems, too many hassle of registration, VPN or whatever,
How do you use ChatGPT?
I'm using it right now. I think it's mostly as an assistant to development when you're developing stuff and you want to, without looking into a documentation for some libraries, you can just ask, give me an example of how to use this tool and so on. And by the way, I'm using GitHub Copilot in my development IDE, so it's already quite helpful. So in a way, I guess we are destined to have the AI tools not as separate, but within our tools, within the tools that we're using every day. So probably we will not even realize that we are using AI at some point.
Oh yeah, that's I think where we're gonna go. No, I asked this question because I read a study from MIT that was trying to, for the first time, measure the difference in output and in productivity of people that use ChatGPT.
Nope.
Have you read it?
But I
do you know
guess
about it?
it's higher.
Okay, but it's pretty interesting. Yes, it is. But it kind of made me think a lot about the Italian situation right now. So I'm going to cut it short. They basically gave some writing tasks to two groups of people. And these writing tasks were also graded by other professionals that would have to give kind of like a score to how good that outcome, the work was. And the group that used ChatGPT ended up being 37% faster, 20% better in terms of grades, and significantly happier at the end of, the task. The other thing that I liked a lot that was particularly interesting was I always wondered if this tool was going to make people that are already very skilled even more skilled and just increase the gap even more between, let's say, super skilled people and not very skilled people. And instead, it looks like ChatGPT helps the least qualified people more. So it's kind of like a level, it brings everybody to a more similar place. And I thought, holy shit, 37% of productivity increase. It means that you can have a 3-day work week and have the same output of a 5-day work week while being 20% better in terms of output and happier and have a more, let's say, equal society in terms of people that are, less good, less skilled because maybe they didn't have access to the right schools or whatever. They are helped even more. And Italy has decided to get rid of this opportunity. I wonder whether the Data Protection Authority had read that study. But that also makes me think about a world where, let's just suppose, I wrote this in my latest newsletter, and I think I have to specify a little bit what I meant because I didn't do a good job at writing that. Maybe I should have used ChatGPT. But my thought was, well, imagine if it becomes more widespread because there's not a lot of people using it right now. I mean, there's a lot of people, but in terms of percentage, it's not as high as we may think. But imagine if everybody's using this and everybody's 37% more productive. And then at some point, the company selling it decides, hey, if you want to keep using it, you have to give me, I don't know, all your data, or, you have to sell your mother or whatever. Then it becomes increasingly harder to say no. So I think that's a challenge as well. I wonder what you think.
There are a lot of points that you touched. And you talked about change in the work life, let's say how much productive we are. And I think we will go in that direction, yeah. Because right now, I got asked a lot of times, how do you think the work will change for using these tools? Because there are already people complaining that some jobs are lost and so on. But I think it's just a tool in our hands and it can make us more productive. Like it was a tool, the invention of a computer. Like it was a tool, the invention of internet. It's all part of the revolution of the information age, and depends on us how we utilize the tool. And the tool, makes you more powerful, makes you more productive, lets you do something that you would do by hand in half the time. So really we have to think them as tools, and the tool can vary a lot, but I think we need to make sure that it's accessible to everybody exactly for the reason that you said. There are a lot of people still that don't know what is ChatGPT. I realized in the past few days, because for me it's obvious. Maybe for the people I'm also surrounded by, that it's obvious. But there are parts of the population that still are not aware, but could benefit from it. But just think maybe about elderly people, that they have sometimes necessities of somebody helping them, but they struggle with technology. So we need to make sure that they have an interface or a user interface that is so easy to use that they don't even realize that they're using the tool, So I think we need to make sure to have all these tools made available and as easily accessible as you can.
Yeah. I haven't thought actually about this. I always thought about the application for elderly people that you were saying. I always thought about ChatGPT as something that would kind of like, give superpowers to what you already do and make you help you do things faster and better. But it is true. Like it is.
Did your parents use it, for example?
My parents tried it. My father was kind of funny. He's an engineer, and he asked. I told him, "Hey, try to do your job with ChatGPT. Try to ask it to write a technical report or something like this." And he said, "Well, it was too short." And I said, "Well, make it longer. Ask it to make it longer." And it's like, how? I don't see the button. I'm like, you just type it. And so I realized that for people like him, but like me as well, we're just so used to, like, we got so used to the usual experience of using technology of like buttons, input boxes, sliders and drop downs. And the idea that this is so free is different. Whereas my grandmother, who passed away so she can all use ChatGPT, she would have loved it. She would have gone insane, I think. But when she bought her computer for the first time, I tried to explain her how to use Google. I tried to explain, you need to click on Google Chrome and then type here. And then at some point she found out that Cortana existed. And she was like, what is this? I'm like, oh, you just speak to the computer and it's going to, give you some information. And she was like, why the hell didn't you tell me before? Like, why am I typing on this keyboard? I'm so slow. And I'm like, I would never speak code. I will write code, but I will never speak it. It just feels so unnatural and dumb to me. But for her, like interacting through voice, it was so easy. So you made me think about this. Like, I haven't thought about it, but like, I think right now we have paradoxically, we are at a disadvantage using those tools because I think our forma mentis, our, mindset is in using buttons rather than speaking. What kind of experience do you have with those tools? Did you let your parents?
Yeah, one day, my parents told me, like, we tried to use ChatGPT. This was, some weeks ago now, but yeah, like my father is doing some projects and using Arduino, and he knows about electronics, about mechanics and so on, but software is the one area that is lacking a bit. So he's asking ChatGPT, like, help me write this software, this piece of code to make this and that. And my mother also used it for she's close to retirement, and she asked ChatGPT, give me a retirement speech, But she said it was too formal. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I mean, did you tell her, hey, you can ask it to write less?
I think I told her, but as you said, probably we are going to see, now it's very open, very generic, and you don't even realize how powerful it is as a tool. If you just think, because really with the prompt, you can change the tool completely. You can have it as a marketing specialist. You can make it act as a poet, as a whatever, but you just need to write the prompt. And now there is this prompt engineering new discipline that is coming up. But yeah, you don't even realize how powerful it is. So in the future, probably we will see specialized version depending if you're writing or if you're doing something else. It will be prompt in a different way to help you with your use case. And probably we would see different interfaces already there popping up, like using the voice as opposed to typing.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be super interesting. It's also, I agree with you that it's hard. Like, you have a tool that can do anything. Like, I had this conversation with my girlfriend yesterday. We were talking about program manager. We're talking about using that in her context, how that would look like. And we were saying, the first time that you use it, it's just so odd, because if I talk in a work context to her as a program manager, I know what to expect. from a program manager. She knows what she's supposed to do. And ChatGPT is a doctor, a program manager, a lawyer, poet, a developer. So it kind of makes sense that at the beginning, there needs to be a phase where like, okay, out of all the multitudes of things you can do, this is the one that I want you to do. But are people gonna learn prompting? And is that a skill that people need to learn? I don't know. Like I haven't released that prompting course yet. First of all, because I don't think I'm the best at prompting. Second of all, because I don't think it's a crazy science as most people try to portray it. I'm so sick and tired of these tweets. Steal the 10 best prompts that are going to 100x your productivity. I'm like, come on. It's always the same things. So I don't know if that's the case or if it's a product problem, if like products need to change so that they're a little bit more specialized.
What are you thinking about something like that? Because let's say you are in a company. Normally you would hire a person to be in a specific position, to do a certain job, like your girlfriend. And yeah, we are not used to having this tool that is so generic. So I was thinking, it's another experiment I would like to do, to have a website where you're basically hiring an employee, an AI employee. So you hire an AI that is specialized to do one only thing. And is maybe talking with other AIs, in that way, we would reflect how we normally work in the real life. And, you would talk to an AI to do a specific kind of job and hire it.
Yeah. Have you read a little bit about all the viral tweets about AutoGPT or GPT agents and all these projects about basically creating different instances of large language models that can talk to each other and get to an objective? Have you seen anything like that?
Something, but not too much. In the last few days, I've seen some tweets, but I didn't really have the time to dig in. I was a bit busy. But yeah, I find it really interesting.
PizzaGPT, ChatGPT alive.
But yeah, I think it's interesting.
No. But that could be cool, I think. That could be an idea for PizzaGPT 2.0. So the fact that people are starting already to basically not even teach ChatGPT. I say ChatGPT, but I mean any large language model. I think people understand when I say ChatGPT, but like it could be GPT-4, it could be GPT 3.5 Turbo, it could be Alpaca, it could be any large language model that is available right now. People are teaching it to use tools, but not even teaching it because they already know how to use tools. Tools like
they learn by themselves.
An API. Yeah, exactly. You are giving that capability. And that's crazy. That could be, something that you could potentially experiment with on your product. Have you thought about it?
I mean, I think it will come, but I'm trying to keep things as simple as possible in PizzaGPT right now. About the agents, it's been interesting because when they released the GPT-4, I've seen some demos of really you almost write no code and then you give the GPT-4 like, I don't know, like the library to control a browser, for example. You just give it to it and then it automatically learns how to use it. And then when you're making a question, like I want to book this flight, and automatically it understands what all the steps it has to do in order to achieve that goal. Or I want to buy a book on Amazon. And it's fascinating to watch. Probably not right now. Yeah, there are a lot of projects. Nothing is really a product yet. So nothing is usable by the general public, but it's really interesting.
Yeah, that's something scary as well, a little bit. It was cool to read that. I don't remember which scientific paper it was, but when they asked GPT-4 to solve a CAPTCHA. And how would you solve a CAPTCHA? I mean, you are literally a robot. And so GPT-4 decided to hire a person on TaskRabbit or something like this. And then this person said, well, you want me to click here? Is this a scam? Like, what is it? And GPT-4 just said, no, I just have a visual impairment, so I need your help. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, this is you already got to the point of learning how to trick people to do whatever objective we asked it to do. That's scary stuff.
Do you think it's lying or it's just telling the truth that it cannot really see? You know what I mean?
No, I mean,
Is
yeah,
it
maybe you're
tricking
right.
people, or is it
Maybe it
just
can
telling the
actually-
truth that it has a visual impairment in the sense that it has no eyes? You know?
You're right. You're right. Yeah, totally. I mean, I think it lied in the sense that it said, I am a
Okay.
person.
Yeah.
But no, that's a good question. I don't know. Like, we got to a point where I spent the weekend watching a presentation called Sparks of AGI that talks about, it's a scientific paper, but I watched the lecture about it. And, it's this researcher just arguing that GPT-4 is an AGI according to some definition of intelligence. What do you think?
How do you define AGI actually? That maybe you are more aware of the definition. I don't know, but if it's in the sense that it can do a large number of tasks, almost pretty much everything you ask it to do, then it's kind of an AGI. Yeah.
It's hard to say. This guy actually ends up saying, well, to me it is, but there's no universally agreed on definition of intelligence. So that's the problem. That's why we cannot say, that's it, it's an AGI, because we don't agree on what I is.
I was thinking about the Turing test as well.
Mhm.
The Turing test was also kind of a test to define if it's smart enough AI in order to fool a human on the other side of a conversation. I think we are pretty much there, right? We are there already.
100%. I read cases about people using it to answer Tinder messages and having better success, like higher success on Tinder if GPT was talking.
This is another thing that I think is very interesting, because right now, okay, we have this large language model that is trained on a huge amount of data that is public data available on the internet. But another interesting trend is seeing chatbots or agent or AI trained on your own data. So this is something that I was experimenting with before doing this PizzaGPT. But for example, for my day job, I have to answer some customer questions, some technical questions. And most of the time, or sometimes, you just go to the documentation, read it yourself, find the answer, go back to Slack, paste in the answer, and you can, I already found a way of automating that, where there is a chatbot that is trained on your own data. So your documentation in this case, but could be any kind of documents, any kind of really data. So it can be spreadsheet or can be technical documents and so on. And it's able to index all this data. And then when you're asking a question, look through the index and use a large language model to answer in the correct way based on those kind of sources. So this is something that I think we will see more and more. You already see a lot of it. Yeah, I made it working on Slack, for example, but I see that some other people made projects very similar.
So how much would you say
No, right now it's not running. It's not automated that much, because there are, of course, borderline questions, like difficult questions that maybe are not really explained that well, or there is also the problem. Sometimes it's just imagining stuff, hallucinating a bit the model. But I think right now we have this large language model that is working really well. And we are starting to understand what to pass as a sources on the other side or as a context. Mm. And depending on information, you can get pretty interesting results.
But I'm wondering, like, you've experimented a little bit with using ChatGPT to basically take over part of your job. And right now it hasn't worked fully yet. Are you scared?
No, because I try to automate the least interesting probably, or if something really automated that you can do that with, which is go to the documentation and check, then you can also do it automatically. You're basically acting automatically already when you're doing that. I'm not scared about losing my job because I'm curious about a lot of things, so I would do anything else. But yeah, I know that a lot of people are scared about losing their job. And probably we will have to rethink a bit the word of work. And you mentioned before, like 3-day work week. And that would be cool. Like if we are also productive, 37% more productive, all of us, then we could work less and we could spend more time in nature, for example. We could stand, instead of being closed in our offices all day, all the time.
Actually, before running this interview, I checked your blog and I found a super interesting blog post. You said in a post, I work 90% of the time. I thought that meant that I work 90% of the time I'm awake. And I was like, holy shit, this guy works a lot. And then I read the blog post and I was like, oh no, actually it meant something different, completely different. Can you explain what that means? Because I think it's very related to the kind of concept that you're just talking about now.
Working part-time. Not, I think, but it's not something that I think it's, it's probably the truth because the 40-hour work week comes from the Industrial Revolution where we had to do shifts. Before that, actually, people were working too much. We're working like, 10, 12 hours every day. So they decided at some point to limit the amount of hours that you had to work in a day. And they limit that to 8 hours for 6 days a week, I think. And then it went down to 5 days a week. We are not in the Industrial Revolution anymore, and we are still working 40 hours a week. And sometimes it feels like we are filling up our days with stuff to do that we don't have to do, or, sometimes you have to be in the office. And so I realized that I have many interests and I want to do some more stuff, and that my life is not really my work. I like to work, and I think it's important that everybody's working because a man is meant for work. And if you would not do anything, you would totally die of boredom. So you have to do something, but I was looking for a bit more balance. And I decided a bit to reduce the amount of hours that I have to work every week. So basically working part-time, and this allowed me to be a bit more flexible in the way I manage my hours. But it's just the beginning. I mean, here in Switzerland is actually something that people do a lot. When they have kids, for example, they reduce to 80% work or even less. It depends. But it's something that I would like to see more and more often, because I would like that everybody would work less and probably spend more time outside to do something more physical, because right now really we spend, or in the sun, we spend most of our lives inside sitting, and we are not really meant for that. If you think about the prehistoric age or how we used to be when we were living we were hunter and gatherers. So we used to move around a lot. We used to spend a lot of time outside, and now we are basically not doing it anymore. So just using our brains and,
I'm from Rome, and I often have this thought when I walk by the Colosseum. So when the Colosseum was launched, the opening party of the Colosseum was 100 days long. So for 100 days, the entire city of Rome stopped working, and all they did was go to the shows, the Colosseum, eat, orgies, and all the fun stuff that the Romans were used to do, right? And I thought, of course, obviously that's just a very small part of that civilization. It's the small city of Rome. And the rest of the empire was not doing it. Of course, they were built entirely on slaves. So there's a few, exceptions to the rule. But every time I walk by it right now, I think, Copenhagen, which is where I live, recently had the opening of, a few years ago, of the Copen Hill, which is a super cool structure built on top of a power plant where you can go and ski. And it's beautiful. And I'm like, the opening party was, a couple of hours or something like this. It would be completely unimaginable to think, hey, we just did something cool. We want to celebrate this for 100 days. The entire city is going to stop and we're just going to, have fun. And I thought, well, we're doing something wrong. It feels like our society is much more advanced in terms of tools. But why are we not more free? And I feel like we're maybe less free. I don't know. I wasn't around 2000 years ago when the Colosseum was launched. I kind of have a feeling that they had a better life, probably. They probably had more free time, unless you were a slave, which is big, a big hit.
But
let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about this? Like how we were used to live some time ago.
Yeah, right now we are slave of the time. You have to start at a certain time. You have to finish at a certain time. You have to be online. Now it's also a kind of an anxiety. I don't know if maybe you have not worked in an enterprise recently, but you have Teams open all the time, and on Teams you can see the green dot. So if somebody is online or not, you can see that. Your boss can see that. So it's a form of enslavement, And as humans, I don't think we are meant just for work, just to spend so much time focused on work, because in a day, if you spend 8 hours for work, then you basically don't have that much time left to do anything else. You go out of your office or whatever, then the day is basically ended already. But to be a human probably means to have also, and it was like this when in the Roman times, they had all sorts of interests. They were discussing about philosophy, studying, doing a lot of stuff, studying discussing politics, discussing war, so many things that right now we are like, just focusing on one thing at the time, where we are supposed to be multi-faced. Or I was reading a book about this, and there is a philosopher talking about how a human should have all these interests and be able to do a lot of stuff, not just one.
Wow. Well, I mean, there's also a lot of conversations these days about what is the nature of work, are we supposed to work this much? But at the same time, I think what is going on also is that work itself is starting to become always less and less rewarding, but also from a financial point of view. I think like we in the software industry, we're just so blessed. I was having some conversations with some of my friends who work in big tech companies as software engineers, and they look at their salary and they're like, well, my family says all doctors. And right now, I get rewarded for my work maybe 4 times as much as my, brother, let's say, who literally saves lives. So like, I do think that we are in a bubble. I think everybody else, like I'm reading a lot about what's going on to the economy of countries like the UK, for instance, where most people seem to be really struggling and paying for a mortgage. I mean, just their work, if you have a normal job, you're not in software, you're not like ninja software developer, your normal job is not enough to just have a normal life, pay rent or pay a mortgage plus eat food. So I think we are going through a shift, and I wonder if this technology, ChatGPT and large language models, what they're going to do, because in theory, they should accelerate this, right? In theory, your work is even your time working is even less valuable unless you keep working 40 hours per week, but you produce 37% more. So that's, I think, the big question, right? What do? You pay people the same amount of money, you make them work less, or you pay people the same amount of money, make them work less, maybe increase the salary a little bit because they're more productive, make them work still 40 hours a week, but produce as if they're working.
Usually the salary is not that much dependent on your productivity, so it's quite fixed.
Unfortunately.
So that's why it makes sense, in my opinion, to work maybe a bit less and earn a bit less salary, but be as productive as before, But the evolution for work is going to be a problem. And there are already discussion about how it's called, the minimum, the basic income. Who is going to pay for that? I don't know, but could be a solution. I'm not really into politics enough so that I have a solution, but it's going to be a problem, I think. And as you said, ChatGPT is going to accelerate that for sure.
Yeah, or complete change. I read, there was a meme that I loved a lot. It showed somebody who was behind a screen and said, hey, you have no idea, this is new AI tool that I give it a few bullet points of an email that I need to write. And it just writes the whole email for me. And then next to that, there was somebody else on the screen saying, you have no idea, I'm so happy I got this long email. And then I have this AI tool that turns that into a bullet point list. And I mean, that's funny, but it also says a lot about the fact that right now we are using this super powerful technology to kind of speed up the way that we work. But eventually we have to change the way that we work. This is not just, something you sprinkle on top of your existing, processes and philosophy and just make an inefficient way of working faster. Ideally, you could just, this could be an opportunity to rethink a lot of what we do. But then the problem is if our economic models are going to be also sustainable, sustain that in some way. Yeah. Who's going to pay for universal basic income? Right now, I think our economic system is just not structured to have something like that, maybe like crazy socialism, like we have here in the kind of socialism that we have here in the Nordics. It would make more sense. I don't know. Hard to say. Yeah.
It's difficult.
There's nothing more to say. Anyway, so hard. But yeah, so, before telling you goodbye, what are the next plans for PizzaGPT? You said you're thinking about a premium version. Do you want to work on this full time? Because I'm curious about this actually. How many hours do you spend on this product?
On the product, on PizzaGPT, not really that much, because I launched after I worked on it for like 2 or 3 hours. This helped actually to reduce procrastination a lot.
It's an interesting product. Yeah.
Because also you're like, maybe it doesn't make sense what I'm doing, or you spend too much time. This icon actually is not pixel perfect. Maybe I should tweak it a bit. And when I launched it, I was super fast, really made things even ugly if you want, but just to finish it quickly. And then during past week, I worked on it a bit. Yeah, I mean, I was a bit distracted for sure from my work, from my day job, but I tried to keep PizzaGPT up and running. We had some problems. We had a DDoS attack at some point, where we were receiving like 85,000 visits per second or something like that. But incredibly, they decided no problem at all. It's such a simple website that had no problem. It's mostly cached. It's mostly static. And but I'm right now, since there are a lot of users on PizzaGPT and some people are asking for some features, I'm considering it. I've been developing a demo version, let's say, or a first version of these premium features, premium version. And let's see, I think I will launch it soon, and could be a job. I don't know. I would like to have. I had a startup in the past. I know what is the startup life is, and I would change something. Yes. But yeah, I would like to have a company, a software company, and work on it and improve the product and so on. Yes. So who knows?
That would be cool. Yeah. I mean, best of luck. And, I hope you're going to keep having all this nice traffic, except the VDOS traffic. But there's going to be a lot of people drawn there. And, even if at some point, I guess Italy's going to have to reverse their decision, or they're going to chop the legs off. But I think even then, like if you build a product that is more privacy preserving than ChatGPT, because you don't store any data. And,
or it's more
features, maybe
accessible,
still storage.
It does an interface that it's easier to use and helps solve some problems that the ChatGPT UI, as we said, is too generic. Maybe, who knows?
Yeah, maybe you can put a prompt library, which is something I'm trying to build for an exercise.
I have a demo if you want, but maybe I'll show you later. I don't know.
Oh, that would be great. I mean, yeah, we can do we can do a live as well. I don't know if we can share it here.
Okay.
Cool.
Exactly. As you said, prompt library. And
nice.
The idea is, I just put a couple of prompts. One to act as a poet. So whenever you write something, now this is an Italian poet. It's Dante Alighieri. So, he's going to write back in Italian. I'm going to ask, how are you? And it will always reply like in a rhymed way. So since it's a poet, this is like PoetGPT is going to reply always the same stuff, like in a rhymed way. but it's going to reply to your question as well. And this is exactly what we talked about before. Like, it's a more specialized way of interacting with a model like ChatGPT. Another example would be this translator. So it's going to reply to you with the translation. Let's say you're learning a language and I want to see how is the translation. This is exactly like Google Translate, but based on a large language model. So if I write in Italian, it's going to reply the same thing, but in English. If I write in English, it's going to reply the same thing in Italian.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So
yeah, that's great.
These are just a couple of examples that came to mind of how the prompt is going to drastically change. And I would like to add more prompts. And another feature is that you can go like see your past conversation, and that's it.
Cool. No, I mean, that's a pretty cool idea. I think one thing I've seen in the AI industry in general, but especially around large language models, is that a lot of people are very keen with sharing what they do and their knowledge and their prompts. There's a lot of websites where you have prompt collections. So this could be also like where the pre-written prompts are crowdsourced. You can save your prompt and allow other users to use your professional prompt, let's say. Just some fruitful thoughts, but I think that the idea of having a prompt collection is really cool. It's actually something that I am going to experiment with my company this week to have a ChatGPT workshop and just help everybody have some good prompts that work for the things that we need to do. So this is going in the same direction. I'm 100% sure that people are going to appreciate it. Pay for it, I don't know, but for sure this is going to be something really cool.
For this, I've been working right now, you have an account, this is like meant as a paid platform, but could also, I can consider to move it in the free solution as well. I don't know. Yeah, let's see. I also, my
there's
focus is also keeping costs down in a sustainable way, as I said. So let's see.
Yeah, makes sense. There's also, I think it's really interesting to see with the donation model that people are actually, some people are actually donating money, which is great. I think, there's also potential way of just optimizing that flow, right? I read one of your posts on Twitter about the nudge where you just told people at some point, hey, by the way, I'm paying for this. Would you like to donate some money? And that worked. So I wonder how much you can keep optimizing that as well.
Exactly. Yeah. It's difficult. You have to find the balance probably. But as you said, some people probably didn't even understand that there is somebody behind the tool that they're using for free that it's actually paying for their requests. So it's probably the nudge is actually educating people and telling people, look, if it looks like you like it, it has a cost. I don't want to make you pay, but if you can, why not? And in Italy, we are maybe a bit behind on this, that if you like a product, you should pay for it, right? We prefer much more a free product that is maybe taking our data and so on. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but we're also the inventors of the cafe sospeso, right? The concept that you can pay coffee for somebody else and just, allow other people to come in and enjoy that. Yeah. I think maybe it's a tricky one for sure. It's easier to just say, hey, you want these other features, just pay here. But I don't know. I think philosophically it would be cool if there was a way to kind of incentivize people to make a donation and just keep donating. I don't know, but I'm really curious to see where this is going to go. I definitely think that the features that you're building have value, and people would totally pay for it if you get really good quality prompts. Because I see also from my point of view, talking to a lot of people that use these tools and they tell me, I tried to do this and the output was shit. I'm like, can I see your prompt? It was this. I'm like, well, of course, your prompt sucks. There's, spelling mistakes. You didn't say what you wanted. You didn't say that you wanted a bullet point list. You didn't say, what do you expect? So I'm guessing that. Also, have you seen the salaries?
I've seen the salaries. Yes. Which are, crazy high. I also listened to an interview of Sam Osman, the founder of OpenAI, and he was saying like, yeah, I don't think prompt engineering is going to be there for a long time. I don't think we're going to use prompt engineering in the next 5 years. I don't know. So let's see.
I mean, it makes sense from his point of view though, right? Because he basically is selling a product and prompt engineering is a solution to a bug in his software, which is that his software doesn't give you the right answer. And so you need to tweak it. And so I get it that he wants to get rid of it. I don't see how it's probably going to become easier. So there's going to be less specialization, let's say, but you still have to learn how to prompt those things. Especially if you want to build products. Like, I mean, I'm building a product with it and I need the output in a JSON format because I need to be able to read it and just push it further into the different steps. Not that intuitive, to ask a machine, hey, can you format this as a dictionary, as a JSON, whatever that is. So there's going to be always, I think, a little bit of learning, maybe not that much. But no, the reason why I was telling you, obviously, the price of prompt engineers is because, well, if some companies are willing to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars per year on a prompt engineer, well, if you take really good prompts and put them on a website and, how much would people be willing to pay to have really good quality prompts available at a fingertip? Maybe you can even hide them. I don't know. Just people don't know what kind of prompts they're using. I don't know. It could be different versions.
Yeah, I've seen some libraries already. It depends. Yeah, if you want to keep it open, you want to make them people pay. And there is always this trade-off.
Yeah. But I think it's also like, I mean, people should pay for this. Like, there's also not just a point of like, yeah, you have server costs, but you're spending your time on this. You could be walking in nature, as we said before. Instead, you're building a tool to allow people to have access to technology.
I did walk in nature
as well.
A couple of days ago, or yesterday as well. Yeah, because it was Easter. I'm taking some time off.
Nice.
Yeah, but if I enjoy what I'm working on, then also like time flies,
I absolutely know what you're talking about, 100%. Cool. Lorenzo, I don't want to take more of your time. Thank you so much for this. I'm so excited to see the evolutions of PizzaGPT. I hope people are going to appreciate this behind the scenes and just see the person who took some of his time off to build this cool product. And where can people reach out? I guess PizzaGPT.it. That's the URL. Can people reach out to you somewhere else?
You can find there my Twitter, Lorenzo without the O. You can find me there. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you so much.